Designers talk a lot about readability. We talk to our customers about readability. From my perspective, readability is really a design communication goal. And then we have a technical component, legibility, which is, I suppose, a performance aspect of every typeface ever. And if you put those two things together, it amounts to clarity. And if clarity is part of the brief of your project, and it's important to what you're designing, I recommend finding a font that's effortless to read, so much so that it maybe feels like it's reading to you. Be clear first and clever second. It's a very nice piece of wisdom from Jason Fried that applies to pretty much all aspects of design, I think. And so if you do need to choose type with clarity in mind, you may think that font choice is the first place to go. I don't think it is. There are some other things that really affect clarity. So the first is probably the size of text, or the perceived size of text. Then you've got the space, the intertype space and the space around. Think of this like layout. The age of the reader. So research is showing that what you find easy to read in your 20s is much harder by the time you're 40. The research says that around the age of 50, the ability to read begins to deteriorate in all of us. In some industries, clarity can be a critical design requirement. Documented cases of misreading medical labels lead to death. Yikes. And there are new use cases as well, where clarity and type's role in these spaces are, forgive the pun, a little less clear, right? And so at Monotype, our team have been trying to get ahead of this a little bit. We've been creating content for AR, VR, and trying to put type through its paces. And there are a lot of environmental things that happen which are interesting and we're learning, right? There's an aspect of distortion of the type. There's actually, within a 360-degree environment, disorientation, right? So focal planes have an effect on how people feel, and so on. And this has resulted in us creating a free plugin for the Unity platform, where you create AR, VR content to help with the clarity of text, and you're seeing some of that clear text here. Okay, so when it eventually gets to type choice, which is after many other things for clarity, I think, here's some tips. So the first is look for character differentiation. So I'll give you one illustration of this. See what I did? No. So within the sans serif type genre in particular, I think differentiation of characters is problematic, or it's more acute at least. So this is a phrase that I've been typing into online type testers for quite a while, because it helps highlight that. Punching it into the bestsellers on my fonts is an interesting experience too. After differentiation, you might want to think about rhythm. So we could say that good type has rhythm, all type has rhythm, but you can look for a different kind of rhythm for different uses. So at the top here, we have Bedoni, and if you kind of isolate the downstrokes here, you can see that the downstrokes are of different widths and different intervals. It's a little, let's say in music terms, it's a little more staccato and a little more disruptive. And that kind of contrast is actually maybe what you want in a display situation. Below here we have the isolated downstrokes of applied sans, and it's much more calm. There's returning intervals and pauses and everything else here. So that might be a more harmonizing experience within text. Depending on the aesthetic that you want, it might actually be easier to read. Just don't push it too far. If everything is right on the beat, then homogeny kicks in, and that starts to be the enemy of differentiation again. Eyesight has been a poster child for legibility, I feel, especially since web type became a thing. And it's really important. So a generous eyesight can help, definitely. And these examples are good. These have generous, helpful, legible eyesights, in my opinion. Just be careful that it doesn't get pushed too far, because if you look at the small text there, you could imagine slightly taller character bodies would end up with A's looking like D's and N's looking like H's and so on. Just pay attention to the counters. Negative spaces in letters, they let the light in. So they're like a car sunroof. And that light actually helps with character differentiation again, helps with determining what these shapes are. And then there's character structure. This is more shape-based again, but Eurostyle, which is on the left, the letters in Eurostyle really, when you stand back, look like little boxes. Each letter is a little square. Something else, like Metronova here on the right, those characters are different shapes. You get triangles, circles, squares. It's probably better overall, because again, there's more differentiation in it within that structure. If you're interested in this kind of thing, my colleague Nadine Shaheen has a really nice, well-researched study that you can get on the Monotype website. It goes into quite a lot of detail on some of the things that affect legibility, especially in quick glance environments like driving at night and daytime and so on. So I see this a lot. This is some wisdom from Susanna Lichko. We read best what we read the most. And I think this is true, but it's much more true about content and words than it is about type. So high-frequency words are very helpful for the readability of content, for language in general. It's called the frequency effect. Familiarity with specific typefaces can be helpful, but not as helpful as familiarity with words. Good type reads to you.